What's up, everybody? It's Marty Sellers, your mental health hygienist, and wanted to say happy Wednesday to you. I wanted to give you an encore performance of the amazing show that we had on yesterday, on last evening, with none other than Richard Taylor Jr. and Sharif Colbert. It was such a great topic and talking about transformation, and now is the time, because now really is the time for us to make such amazing changes. We become very vulnerable and share our own hurts, hangups, and issues that we've experienced and faced, and what we did to get better and to succumb those challenging times. So listen, enjoy and give us your feedback. Take care and be blessed. Today's topic that we want to talk about is now is the time. Transformation Tuesday. Listen, we have gone through so much. We are now coming back into society. We are now changing things. We're trying to find out what that new normal is. We all listen. I kept saying, I'm waiting. I'm not waiting for my summer 2022 body. I'm getting it together right now. Why? Because now is the time. I'm stop making excuses. I'm stop putting off to tomorrow what I can do right now. We had a whole 18, 20 months to get it together, and we have to learn to think outside the box. Listen, if nothing else, this pandemic could have, for most people, brought us some opportunities. I get we all suffered from depression. I get that it was difficult. I get that it caused anxiety. I get that it was a major change. But if we're going to make change happen, we have to stop waiting on change, and we too have to be change agents ourselves. So that's the message for today, y'all. Now is the time. But I'm so glad. Listen, I'm so glad. We had this brother on with us last month, and he just made such a positive impact that I said, listen, you got to come on and be a reoccurring co-host with me at least once a month. And I'm so glad that this brother has definitely decided to do that. So let's welcome back, as now co-host and reoccurring guest, all the way from the ATL, none other than my brother Sharif. Sharif Colbert. What's going on, my brother?
You starting that already?
Well,
You starting that already, huh?
Yo, he Creole. Itchy, gitchy, ya, ya, da. I'm gonna get you some theme
You
music.
starting that already?
What's up, brother? How you
I
feeling?
can't with you. Hey, man, I'm amazing, buddy. Ma, how you doing?
Man, we doing amazing. I'm trying to be as amazing as you are, man. Listen, you got the Atlanta skyline in the backdrop and everything. Oh man, you doing it and doing it well. Don't play with it. I ain't playing with you tonight, man. I ain't playing. What's up, my brother? How you been? How's life treating you down in the ATL?
Man, honestly, life is good, man. Life is really, really, really
Yeah,
good right now, man. Staying positive. Still continuing to go to therapy, which I advocate. You know, I'm a big, huge advocate for
yeah,
therapy, so I'm continuing to do that,
most
which is
definitely.
helping me keep my mental right. Continue to stay
Yeah,
physical. Continue to meditate. Continuing
yeah,
all of my normal positive things that I've been doing, man. So it's been really, 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 really good as of late. How about you?
yeah.
How you been?
Man, I can't come. I ain't gonna tell y'all. I threw my keys away last week, so my car has been sitting outside my office for over a week because it is an expensive lesson, and so Mercedes is charging me $1,200 to get a new key. So, you know what?
So you like
So talk
it'll sit
about
there.
it. It and it sat there. I figure I'll either find the spare. And listen, man, I'm learning. You know what this process has taught me? Now's the time not to stress. I'm not stressed out about it. Okay, it'll come up. Or I just got to bite the bullet and pay the $1,200. All right. But listen, I can go to work, got a spare backup car. It's all good. So that's how life has been treating me.
Hey man, my favorite saying is no stress, just bless, baby. No stress, just bless.
That's right.
So
That's right.
what's stress is
Listen,
gonna
I'm
do?
absolutely nothing. I'm still above ground. I still have my health. I still have my strength. I'm still eating every day. I still have a place to sleep. I still got too many clothes and all that, and I got money in my bank. I'm good. I'm blessed. You're right. You're
Hey,
right.
no stress, just bless. Let's get it.
That's right. That's right. You know, have been a major inspiration, man, and I just want to shout out and show you some love, because I think we as Black men don't know how to show proper love and support to one another, man. But ever since we did this show last month together, we've been bantering back and forth in a friendly banter, man. I just appreciate all of your positivity. And so I thought this was an appropriate title for us to kind of co-host today, talking about now is the time transformation. And you are a life coach. You talk about transformation all the time. For those who did not catch you last month, talk to us about who you are and why transformation is so huge for you.
Well, man, I first of all thank you for the shout out. I really appreciate it. You know how much I love you as well, man. But as you mentioned, I'm a certified professional, coach who works with, and the transition and accountability is my specialty. So people that are going through various transitions in their lives, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I help people reach their goals, and I help people find clarity to the things that they want to find clarity in. And, a lot of the reason why people don't reach their goals is because they lack the discipline and they lack the accountability. And so therefore they fall off. Like you see people like they stop.
Yep.
That's because they're not being held accountable, man. And that's why I come in it though, lifecoachatl.com. And I help you get through that. I help you set your goals for yourself. I'm a shameless plug. You know that already.
I already know. It's all good. Yes. mentalhealthmarty.com.
But yes, I help you.
But anyway.
There you go. I hope you create attainable goals. I hope you create a plan for yourself. And I walk you through it each week. And each week we go through it. Sometimes they call me 2 times a week, but we need that accountability, man, sometimes to get the things that we actually really want out of life. So that's why I come in, lifecoachatl.com.
Well, lifecoachatl.com. I appreciate you, bro. I do, because you're absolutely right. Because I say it this way: successful people are intentional people. And they're intentional about their goals. They're intentional about making sure they have the right disciplines in order to make those goals on a continual basis. And that's why I think it's so important that we have accountability. And oftentimes we have misappropriated or thought accountability is a bad word, when actually it's a strength-based word, because I'm helping you. You're making sure that I'm accountable to the goals that I said I wanted to achieve. So I can't be mad at you. Exactly.
You said you wanted it. I didn't make this up.
Right.
But no, there's one thing I want to touch on what you just said, though, is the intention. That is one thing that I started doing like 2 weeks ago, man, is I wake up every morning and I set my intentions. Like, what are your intentions today? My intentions are to be positive. My intentions are to listen. My intentions are to encourage. My intentions, and every day, the mind is like a muscle, so you got to keep training it every single day.
That's right.
So every day I wake up with those intentions, and then after I get done with those intentions, I continue that throughout the entire day, so that I keep remembering, okay, what were your intentions today? Are you still being positive? Are you still doing the things that you said you was going to do? So intentions, man, I love that word right there that you said. Intentions,
Yeah, it is. We have to be intentional. We do. So listen, I want to bring on our guest here coming up with it. Listen, I found this brother on IG. And this brother every morning was out there. He was being intentional, out there hustling. Like, come on, y'all, got to get it in. He's out there, got his phone up there sweating and getting it in. I'm like, this brother got to be either insane or just an adrenaline junkie or something. But the more I kept following him, I kept going, he kept pulling me in. I'm like, wait a minute. And then he got books. I'm like, wait a minute. Then it made me accountable. Talking about, I've been sitting on 3 books for over a year now. Like, I gotta get my behind together. Don't judge. No judgment. No, this is a judge-free zone. No judgment. It's 90% done. It's gonna be done.
I got your back. Marvin.
But this brother is so cold, and when I talk about transformation, because I know that you've had a huge transformation in your life, he has. We all have some sort of transformation, and that's just a part of our story. So I want to welcome to the Mental Health Matters with Marty stage, but for the first time, but definitely not the last time, because this brother is stone cold bad in every sense of the positivity of the word that it is. So can you help me welcome none other than Richard Taylor Jr.? What's up, Richard?
Man,
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. I mean, I wouldn't say stones. You know what? I'm learning to accept compliments. So my normal response
Yeah,
would have been a broke clock is right twice a day. But I'm gonna take what you said instead. I'm gonna just be like, all right, if
yeah.
you say Stone Cold, then cool. I'm gonna take it. Thank you, brother. It's good to be on with y'all, man.
Good to
Man,
be on with
listen,
you too, my brother.
yeah, and it's I think it's so important, and I am partial to making sure because oftentimes the media has misrepresented black men. And so I'm
Hmm.
very intentional that probably 80% of my guests are black men who are doing things because I want to help change the culture and also rewrite the negative narrative and make it a positive
Yeah.
narrative so that they say we black men who are doing, do we have our issues? Yes. Do we have our hurts? Yes. Have we had past tense our hangups? Yes. But this is a daily struggle in what we do. And man, I just love your transparency. I love your vulnerability and all that you have done because you like definitely Mr. Colbert have been definitely inspirational in my life, man. So listen, Richard, tell us about who you are, what you do, and why you are this amazing advocate of mental health.
Oh man, who am I? I'm not gonna say that's a loaded question, but I definitely will say that's a loaded answer. So,
Okay.
man, and that's just me, right? Like my brain is all over the place all the time. I use the term mental health champion, and that was something that one of my friends
Mm-hmm.
kind of coined on me right before COVID last year. I'm not really big on like the cliches, on like the
Right,
names,
right.
but I love that term. When they broke it down to me, it was a thing of like, Richard, you've learned how to champion your mental health, but not only have you learned how to champion it, you're helping people to champion theirs.
Yes,
And so that really
yes.
stuck out with me. And I was like, man, I think I vibe with that. I rock with that heavy. And so essentially, man, God, I don't want to do the cliche as church thing. I'm just a nobody trying to tell somebody
Yes,
about,
about
and we ain't
everybody.
doing that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We ain't doing that. But,
Right,
but no,
right,
man,
right.
I'm a normal person, man. I'm a person that has lived through so many tumultuous things, and in that,
Right,
wanting to see other people do better and well because of it,
right,
right? So you're talking to somebody
right.
who, from the age of 10 to 20, man, I dealt with depression, anxiety, multiple
Mm,
suicide attempts. My final
mm,
one in 2008, I took a 12-inch blade
mm.
down my wrist where the word love now sits, and um, man, I
Wow.
almost lost my life for that last one, right? And so
Right.
understanding what it's like to live not only in silence, but to have to go through this with just constantly suppressing all of the issues because growing up, and you talked about, 80% of your guests being black men, but growing up in that
Yeah.
culture where, from a representation standpoint of mental health,
Yep.
from the aspect of I grew up in church, so I was told it's a
Yep.
demon, just pray about it or you're not praying hard enough.
Yep.
I was told it was a white person's problem. My
Yep.
ancestors dealt with worse. We can go down the whole lineage of it, right? Like
The
I
whole
heard it
list.
all.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
but yeah, and so because of that, I stayed quiet and I struggled in silence, but I knew what it was like struggling in silence, right? And I think for
Mm-hmm.
me, one of my big pushes has always been we all have a mental health. I talk about that in my new book, 31 Days of Power, but this concept that the same way that we all have a physical, we all have a mental,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so because I
Mm-hmm.
know that we all have a mental health, I'm like, what can I do to just be a light to individuals who might be living either in silence or in darkness or in solitude, thinking
Right.
that they're alone, nobody else gets it,
Yes.
nobody else understands. Because I remember what it was like during that time of struggling and feeling like, man, I just wish somebody would see me. I just wish
Mm-hmm.
somebody would understand or
Right.
just offer a hand without judgment, right? And so, man, that's essentially who I am. So, of course, like you said, now author of 7 books, speaker, podcaster. I do some coaching here and there as well. Yeah, man. And I don't say that to flex. I say that as somebody. Man, I grew up as an athlete, right? And I love, I love, I
Mm-hmm.
love, I love. So I don't know if y'all follow like the I Am Athlete podcast or All the Smoke
Mm-hmm.
and some of these other
Mm-hmm.
podcasts that are led by athletes now. But man, for a very long time, like I was a standout athlete in high school, and I was
Mm-hmm.
on my way to college to play ball, but I had a heart murmur, so I couldn't play anymore. Leading into
Mm-hmm.
college. But with all of that being said, though, for a very long time, I thought that all I was ever good at was being an athlete, running with the football in
Right.
my hand. That was it.
Right.
And
Right.
so I don't say this, the author of 7 books piece to flex, but more so to say that, and I know y'all can attest to this, once you take those limitations off, you get a chance to see what you maybe have been sleeping on or resting on when it comes to
Yes.
talents and gifts
Yes.
and abilities. And that was me, man. So, like I said, I author the books. I get a chance to speak around the world to
Mm-hmm.
different groups. The podcasting piece, I'm big on the content of just putting stuff out there for people and
Mm-hmm.
really helping people not only to overcome, but getting them to understand their power when it comes to what they possess to help the next person as well.
This is a
I
powerful
love it.
brother. Yes.
Damn.
Yes.
I sing too. I do a little singing here and there as well.
Oh, then now you gonna throw that
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
there, huh?
Yeah. I saw him warming up his vocal cords in there. Mm-hmm.
Ah,
No,
oh
man.
man.
No. And this is what I love. Yes, you're humble, and I get that. But there's nothing, we have to learn how to celebrate ourselves. And I say this, celebrate, I can say
Right.
this to you, the gifting of God that he's placed in you, that you are more
Hmm.
than just an athlete. And we have to change our stinking thinking, change our mindset
Love it.
in that as well. So that we realize we are more, we are great scholars. We are great
Mm.
husbands. We are great fathers. We are great whatever we put our mind to, and whatever we decide to come. Now see, why are you gonna make me pull out my Bible? Be renewed by the transforming of
That's
our
it.
mind, and how we do that on a daily basis with that. So Sharif, you heard him. Oh yeah, I just got 7 books, and I'm working on 7 more right now. And
Man, I ain't gonna
Sing a
hold you.
little bit,
I'm
Steve.
stuck right now. Man, I'm
But
it's
stuck.
I
all
did have a
good.
Here's
question
the
for you
thing,
though.
though. Go ahead,
Go ahead,
bro.
Sharif.
I did have a question for you. So growing up like that, growing up in the church the way that you grew up, with all of the, like, oh, just pray it off and just do this, just do that. Where did you come up with the mentality of, okay, this isn't for me. I got to do something different.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Crazy Sharif, it didn't really happen until after my final suicide attempt, honestly. Up until that
Wow.
point, I really kind of went along with the just pray about it, right? But I think,
Uh-huh.
I was 19. I was 19 when my last attempt happened. And so
Wow.
during that time, I think I was in this space of fully understanding. And this is one of the big things that I've been pushing out to people now is like, yo, specifically folks in the faith. I'm like, we can't say faith without works is dead, but then not actually live and practice that out. And
Thank you.
so after my final attempt, what ended up happening was I was actually forced to go to therapy. One of the stipulations for me to stay in school, because my attempt happened during my sophomore year of college on
Okay.
campus in my dorm hall.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
dean of students made it to where like I had to go to therapy, and even then I fought it. Right? I'm like, I ain't
Right.
about to let no. I mentally fought it. I ain't gonna let no shrink analyze me. I'm not about to let them
Mm-hmm.
try and tell me about myself. So like I come in self-diagnosing, like trying to act like
Mm-hmm.
I knew it all, like I had it all together. And man, honestly, it wasn't until I started going through the therapy piece where I realized that prayer is great, but prayer is only going to be able to do so much if we're not putting action behind it. And so
That
I
part.
think
Yeah.
from the action of me being forced into therapy and seeing how the therapy helped me is what really caused the mental shift. So I would
Wow.
Okay.
encourage people all the time. I'm like, look, please don't put yourself in a position where you got to be forced to do something, right? If you got the
Right.
opportunity,
Right.
what my
Right.
granddad used to tell me,
Right.
a wise man learns from the mistake of others. A fool learns from the mistake of his own, right? And I was the fool, so don't be the fool,
Mm.
right? So with that being said, it's like, yo, like if you, even for those in the faith, man, because I've been doing a lot of, I've been leading a lot of like conversations and seminars for faith leaders in this space as well. When it comes to like, yo, like
Thank you.
this is
Thank
not to
you.
say that Jesus ain't enough, but it is to
Right.
say that, yo, the same way that we've been gifted with doctors in the medical field to help with physical issues, we've been gifted with doctors and clinicians and therapists and counselors
Mm-hmm.
in the
Mm-hmm.
space of the mental and emotional realm. And if you feel like it might be
Wow.
too woo woo, guess what? You also have therapists that are in the faith that can do it in a
Yes.
way that fits
Yes.
what you believe in. So I think, man, just breaking the barriers off of that. And I will say this though too, because I do kind of get it. I understand that a lot of bad habits and bad traits and things were taught with good intention from people that were just ignorant to the truth behind it, right? But then that leads into a deeper conversation of when you talk about like just generational trauma, right? And us not having the same thing as our counterparts, you know, our ancestors, our elders before us. They didn't have what we have now. So I think we are, man, it's an uphill battle where we are fighting against so many things that we're taught and just having to reframe and reprogram the mind.
You're absolutely right.
But we do.
But I on all levels, you're right. Because I grew up in the church too, and I grew up in a domestic violent household. And my father was an amazing provider. He just beat my mom for 16 years. And what do we do?
Wow.
Like you, pray it away. And I'm just going, yeah, I'm praying, but he's still beating us. You're praying, but you're still depressed. You're praying, and how many have we told and given bad advice to? And I love God, I love His people, I love the church, but we have given people bad advice. And they remained in situations where I say it this way. I said Christ was a cognitive behavior therapist. He says, as a man thinketh, so is he. Cognition, behavior, with that. But he also said, listen, don't return back to that same habit that you. In other words, his don't return was this. He says, let's develop a treatment plan. Come on, therapy, so that you don't go back to it. Because if you leave it empty and don't fill that space, you're going to naturally return back to it, and it's going to hit you 2, 3, 10 times worse. So we got to develop a treatment plan of things, practical things that you can step and do. Practical things, working out. Practical things, changing your friendships. Practical things, changing your environments. Come on, life coaches and mental health advocates. Y'all know what it's about.
I know it.
I love it. I'm like, come on now, keep going. Yo, stuff, Marty.
Listen. But imagine if the three of us, and then we get our boys, and I got my mentee right here. He's on the side of me right now. Listen to what we do, and so he's soaking all this in, and then we're now taking other young men, and we're now doing this. We do the Chitlin circuit and go to all these Chitlin churches, and then explain to them, listen, we're not here. We don't want to be the pastor. We want to help the pastor in that. Yeah, we can pray with you, because I pray in my. They say, can we pray? Not a problem. Let's pray with that. So yes, we can do those things. Listen, if you want to engage this, people, put your comments in the Mental Health Matters with Marty on Facebook and Marcel Media group on what is that? YouTube. I had to think about it. So we enjoy. Look, we got two powerful brothers in here that is telling us now is the time for transformation. Since we're talking about transformation, Sharif, let's talk about your transformation journey, because I think that yours and definitely Richard's are very much similar in so many ways. That's why I was like, these brothers, they got to know each other in that regards. And why you talk about being intentional is so important.
There's been a couple of different transformations in my life, so I'm not sure exactly which one you're referring to. I do know that Richard, we had spoken. Well, let's talk about the health one, man. That was a big one for me. It was like, as Richard was talking about it before the show. I mean, getting in shape and staying in shape was really, really, really important for me in my 30s. Like, it was very, very, very important to me. And the reason why it was so important to me is because I was going through a divorce. And I was like, I'm not about to be a big dude at the club. It's not going to happen. So, where my hug at? I'm not going to be the dude eating chicken wings and have Bill on my breath all the time. So I was like, I got to do something about this. So that was my reasoning. I mean, my reasoning was like, yo, I got to actually really, really focus, and I got to do something about it. And whatever it is, like Richard said, like it doesn't have to be like something as significant as like I almost killed myself and that's why I got my shit together. It could be just like, yo, you know what? I'm going through a divorce and I don't want to be the old dude in the club. I mean, it's whatever your why is, whatever it is.
But we got to also realize divorce is also a change and adjustment in life, and there's some grieving with that. So depression goes along with that as well. Having been married for 15 years and then ended up in a divorce, I know the depression I went through. I know what it felt like, and didn't feel like I had other brothers to talk to. And then I was in church, and then I looked at myself as a failure. I looked at myself as failing my children. I looked at myself as failing myself, and even failing God in so many ways. And so, how do you bounce back from that? How do you not fall into? I was in a horrible depression for about almost up to 5 years, and we know how to put on the mask. Hey, how you? Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. Oh, doing well. Still going to church,
but
leaving
deep inside, you hurting.
Yes,
You
hurting.
Man, that's how Marty. I mean, I was depressed, man. I was like, seriously, I didn't want to get up out of bed. You know what I mean? I didn't want to leave, but it was like, I can't do this alone. And so the therapy, it really helped me out, because I realized, I was like, I'm laying in this bed every single day. My daughters, my kids, they're watching this, and they're seeing this, and they're seeing me not go ask for help. Come on, man. Get your butt up.
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
You gotta go do it. Come on, man. Go to therapy. Go get some help. So that's what it took for me, man. I had to realize, like, the example that I've been setting for my kids, and that's not what I wanted them to see. So I needed to go get help, and I did, and I was so proud of myself for doing it. Wow. Sometimes you're lucky enough to realize you need to make a change.
Yeah.
I love the way you said that too, Sharif. I know for me personally, so I'm remarried now, but I got divorced in my late 20s. So I'm 33 now. But in my latter 20s, I got divorced. And so it was crazy for me, man. Like, I love, Marty, what you said about the failure aspect. My mom and dad celebrated 35 years of marriage in April. And so for me, like, my parents would tell you, out of all of the boys, like out of all three of us, I was the one that grew up as like the hopeless romantic. Like, I love love. I love people seeing love. I love celebrating Black love. Like, I'm in it, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I felt like I let my parents down, with the divorce.
Right.
But I think for me, one of the things I realized was that I noticed this really high level of anxiety. Y'all talked about the depression piece, which is so real. I think for me, man, I struggled a little more with the anxiety from the standpoint of the fear of embarrassment and the fear of judgment when people found out.
Right.
Like, I was a mad people pleaser, right? And so a lot of folks knew myself and my ex-wife, because we were high school sweethearts. And man, when you talk about like just how even the anxiety aspect of it, when it comes to like, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? Am I going to have to be on guard now? Like, it will literally change how you live and present yourself. And to your point of the mask, man, that's so real. Like, so now we gotta start capping day in and day out just to make it seem like we're good, and we're not. Man, seriously.
And it becomes such the part of our DNA then, until the point that I didn't even recognize who I was. And then the person I was looking at in the mirror, not only did I not recognize who I was, I didn't like who I became. And so that's when I said, something's got to change. I'm not happy. It showed on my job performance. It showed, again, like we say, a lot of times for us, in our weight. It shows in bad relationships, or just like, like how did they get here? If I was in my right mind, there's no way they could have gotten this close to me. Fighting the loneliness. And then fighting to make sure I wasn't just replacing anyone to replace the loneliness, because I hadn't dealt with myself, because I no longer like myself, because I didn't recognize who was in the mirror. So this whole cyclical thing that kept rolling and rolling. I see you, Sharif. Talk to me, brother.
No, there's that self-sabotage, man. We self-sabotage, and we go through a repetitive cycle until we realize, like, I got to go get some help. And I got to figure this out, man. And not everybody is blessed to be able to do that. And that's why I'm so happy, Marty, that we have platforms like yours right here, because people can see, especially African-American men, in a different light, and see that we normal human beings, we normal brothers. And like, yo, man, brothers can go get help. Once you know better, you do better. You know what I mean? Once you recognize that
Absolutely.
there's a
Yep.
situation that is not healthy for you, then you go and change something. So it takes somebody to see you and for you to see yourself in a different light in order for you to be able to change it.
Right. You're absolutely right. And that's what the challenge is. So when we say that, we're talking about now is the time. How do we encourage, especially Black men, to say, listen, now's the time that we want to make some change in our lives. Don't wait till tomorrow. Richard, what was that? Again, you said, that last incident when you were in college, 2000, was it 8 or 6?
2008.
Yeah, in 2008 for you. What was that now for you to say, nope, no more. I'm changing who I am.
After the attempt, man, I think for me, it was several components, like variables that I think just kind of combined together. And the
Right.
first was that I personally just felt like I ran out of options, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think that now is the time. If I had to say and pinpoint one thing, though, where the now is the time piece really was hit hard was that I was in the ER and the doctor told me that the slit at the top of my wrist, he was like, you actually tapped the vessel that should have killed you, but no blood would come out. And his next words
Ooh.
were, you have a purpose in life and you need to figure out what it is. Interestingly enough, purpose was the very thing that I struggled with for so long. And so I think that
Right.
those words kind of aligning with the struggle was my like, now is the time moment. I'm like, bro, like you missed death on this side. Mind you, I had put on 170 pounds the 18 months leading up to that. So I went from 200 pounds to 370. And so my health was really bad too. Like my blood pressure was at like beyond the stroke level. And so I'm like, you
Wow.
literally missed death several times, bruh. Like you
Right.
gotta open your eyes and start paying attention, right? Like this doesn't happen
Wow.
by just chance, right? This isn't a
It
coincidence.
doesn't.
And I think my now is the time came from that component of realizing like you've been spared for a reason and you need to
Come on.
start diving deeper to figure out what that reason is. That's really
Good
what
people,
it
y'all
was.
got to listen to my brother. Listen to my brother. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
But
man. And
it's
how did
so
you do? How did
true.
you do that? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Sharif. No, you took the words right out. How'd you do it?
How did you do
Do which part?
that? I mean, you had to
Now,
try to
What,
now,
just
commit
figure it
suicide
out?
several times, but then at that last time, yeah, how'd you figure it out?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So interestingly enough, man, the community that I thought was going to be there, and Marty talked about growing up in the church. I'm pretty sure
yeah,
y'all can understand this too, right? Like, you
yeah,
think it's going to be the ones that preach the love that's going to be there, but they might
yep.
be some of the first ones to talk about you, right? And so that honestly almost pulled me back into a bad space, if I could be real
Wow.
with y'all,
Right. Of
because I'm like,
course.
man, like how are the ones that are supposed to be my brothers and sisters in the faith the ones dogging me out? But man, it was the people who I
Mm,
never expected that came and stepped up when it came to like individuals that saw me at my lowest point and invested into me, right?
right.
So the first thing that I would say is that community played a huge part, right? There is so much power in
Love it.
community. So that was a big
Love it.
part of it. Understanding that not only did I have community, but that I had a responsibility if I really wanted to change. I had a responsibility of getting over my pride, my ego, and everything else
Mm,
that caused me not to want to be vulnerable and to open up and
mm,
admit that I needed help, right? That was a
mm-hmm.
big part of it. So the community aspect, but then also understanding that, look, you talk about this idea of preparation meeting opportunity. And so I
Right.
think for me, I'm like, opportunities here. Richard, you got to willingly walk into this. The second piece
Yes.
came from, I think, man, it's so interesting. And in one of my other books, I got a chapter called There is Hope. And I talk about how for so long, I think hope has been marketed as this like one off, this big
Mm-hmm.
aha moment, or like the walk
Right.
off grand slam home run, the
Right.
game
Right.
winning touchdown. But I say, what if hope is actually not that? What if hope is the run batted in? What if it's just enough of a catch
Mm-hmm.
to get you to the next phase? What if hope is
Mm-hmm.
the small baby steps done right consistently over a longer period of time? And so
Talk to us.
to Sharif's point about like therapy, right? Like It's not like we're gonna walk into the office one time, sit on the couch, and everything's done. Like this is a
Yep.
constant action, and it's not a thing of a reactionary response either. We have to get to the point of being proactive rather than reactive in it, so that we can really start to see the results. So I think it was a culmination of the community. It was a culmination of letting go of my pride, dropping the ego, understanding that yes, I'm Superman, but the reality is that Superman still had kryptonite. I'm a comic book fan to the umpteenth degree, so I could talk this all day. But
I love it. Not to cut you off. I got two.
Go ahead.
Batman and Iron Man. Now don't judge me.
Yeah.
Because folks say that they're the same people. I said no, they got super money. So if I have super money, I don't need, I can buy all my powers. So
yeah. And here's the thing, people talk about money not buying happiness, but it can dang sure rent it, right? And so here's my thought process with it. So, but one of the things, I mean, you're right, they're not the same person, right? But even you mentioned Iron Man, right? And that's the thing, I love it, man. Like even from the context of like the superhero realm, like a lot of the comic book figures that we read dealt with it. Tony Stark, Iron Man dealt with, anxiety and he dealt with PTSD. They showed that in Iron Man 3. The Incredible Hulk dealt with dissociative identity disorder. Like we could go down the list.
Talk to us.
Thor dealt with depression. Like, and so like, that's a real thing, but I love that idea of people look at the strong friend. Cause I was that person, right? I was the strong friend. Right. I was the one that was there for everybody else. But man, when that door closed at the end of the day and everything was done, I was dying on the inside. Yes. Exactly. And so I think for me, man, I had to let go of that superhero mantra and understand that, bro, even under all of that, you're still human and you need help and you need to be able to embrace the help. Otherwise, you are going to run yourself into another ditch and maybe you don't come back the next time.
That is so good. Yeah. And I so agree with you. I do a whole thing on superhero therapy because it's so, and believe it or not, I do it on men and kids, but
I love it.
But because it's so true, man. And I love that you walked us right through that. And you talked about the importance of community and how oftentimes when we're at our lowest point, it's not the ones that we think are the ones that are most likely to help us, but it's the ones who have gone through similar stories like ours, that dusty person that everyone has discounted that says, come on over here. Let me tell you, bro, what's going on. I know what you're going through because I've been there, or I'm right here going through it myself. Community is so vital and important, man. Oh my God. Okay. Y'all blessing me already.
I mean, how many people are watching this right now, knowing that they need to make a change, but
That's
knowing
right.
how to make that change, like what work to do, and like how to do it is the hardest part. And so that's where mental health professionals come in at. You know what I mean? Therapists to deal with your past, and that's when life coaches come in to help you move forward. So we all work together, but we all work together.
Richard, this brother here, the Creole one, but but I love it because I love because oftentimes we get confused about roles of therapists and life coaches, and I'm one. I believe we all work together in that, and I love it because he has a beautiful philosophy, and I love what Sharif is saying. Definitely, the therapist definitely help you deal with your past and push you towards your future and all that as well. But definitely the life coaches, they're saying, listen, let me point you to your future and what's going on. Jerron, what's going on, my brother? How you feeling? Man, so glad that you could join this amazing conversation. Listen, Jerron is another amazing Black male therapist down here in Southern California, man. That is my brother. Love it. And he's always there to support. Let's talk about your book. Listen, Jonathan Davis, this brother here is faithful to the show as well. Jonathan, good to see you, man. Thank you for always joining us. Talk to us about your book, the latest one that you are definitely have written, 31 Days of Power, correct?
31 Days of Power, a simplified approach to everyday mental health. And so, man, it's crazy. The 31 day, it's amazing how ideas can become something so big and maybe something that you never expected, right? And so for
Yes.
me, man, the 31 Days of Power started back in 2018. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so 31 days in
Yes,
May.
it is.
And what I did was hop on Facebook and Instagram Live, and I would do live videos each day, having
Mm-hmm.
conversations around different facets of life that affect our mental health.
I love it.
And I had done that for a few years. Then COVID hit in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and I changed it up. I started, I try and keep up with everything that's happening on social media when it comes to like what are people responding to. So,
Right,
man,
right,
a good
right.
friend of mine out of Flint, Michigan, does some phenomenal graphics, and he started putting my conversation pieces into these carousels or threads. And so I would take up all 10 spaces on Instagram to literally just give some very simple definitions and understanding to certain
Right,
things, and
right.
then giving some very practical takeaways that you could implement
Mm-hmm.
same day, same time type of thing. And
Wow.
so, towards like maybe halfway through the month of doing it last year, the response was phenomenal from people. And some folks were like, yo, I would love to see this in a book. I think this is so helpful. And so,
Right.
crazy part is that, man, I had all intentions on getting it done and ready for last fall. And then May 25th, was it 25th or 25th, George Floyd gets killed, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so when that happened, man, like I was still going on with the series. I changed up the last few days. I ended up throwing in a conversation around the effects of racial trauma.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up losing a classmate to a suicide like around that same time. So I
Wow.
threw a conversation at like 7 reasons why suicide isn't the answer. But essentially, man,
Mm-hmm.
I picked it back up in September of last year, and I said the blueprint is already there. Just write the book, like
Right,
create this, tell some stories around it. And so that's what I
right.
ended up doing for the second half of the year when I finally felt like, and I just want to say this to whomever is listening. I know we have visions and goals and plan, and Marty, you talked about it with the three books that you have that you're sitting on right now, right? The reality is that in its right time, in its due season, it will happen.
Yes,
But I think
yes,
in the process of it not happening yet, show yourself grace. And that was the one thing that I
yes.
had to learn
Ooh, thank you.
personally last year,
Yes.
because I started to feel like I was failing when I didn't
Yep.
have it out in my time frame. Right.
Yes.
And so I think just kind of understanding why that was. I'm like, bro, you never lived through a pandemic before, right? You've never had to
Mm-hmm.
pivot and audible as much as you've done in life up to this point. And so, yeah, that was the culmination of 31 Days of Power. So I took all of the conversations from last year, and then I brought it into this space. And so we talk, like I said, first chapter, we all have a mental health, right? Breaking the stigma. I've
Yes.
been using that to not only break the stigma, but to also help lead to a greater space of empathy, getting folks to understand that, yo, just because I haven't been triggered in the right way doesn't mean that I
Mm-hmm.
won't be, and it doesn't mean that it gives me open field to judge the next
Right.
person or to demean
Right.
or talk about them. But
Right.
then I was like, I want to go deeper. So it's funny, all three of us are sitting up here talking about divorce. I ended up putting a chapter in there talking about, our mental health through and post divorce, some things that we could
Yes.
do
Yes.
when it comes to
Yes.
practices. I got two chapters in there. One is on faith and mental health. The other is on
Wow.
high functioning depression for ministry leaders, right? Like all of these things,
Yes.
they're real.
Ooh,
Athletes
come
and mental
on.
health, entrepreneurs and mental health. You name it, imposter
That's
syndrome,
Love
right?
it,
right.
Mental
man.
health. But here's the idea, though, right? It's like, hey, instead of bringing it to where you know how it is in the mental health field, Marty, we got all of the
Mm-hmm.
big
Mm-hmm.
jargon, right? We can sometimes
Yep.
throw
Yep.
terminology out that people don't
Yes.
understand.
Yes.
And
All
so for
all of our
me,
maladaptive thoughts.
and the reality is I'm like, yo, like if we're about the work, we got to meet people where they are. Right.
Right
And
where
so
they
I
are.
think one of the easiest ways to meet people where they are is by bringing the conversation in a way that they understand it. Like, how is this
Yeah.
affecting you? And so essentially, that's what the 31 Days of Power is, man. And so released it right at the end of January, top of February this year. And man, it's been crazy. I'm a self-published author, right? So for me, these are bigger
Right.
numbers when it comes to not having a huge team behind me. But we've been,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the book's been out for 6 months now, and we're at, or 5.5 months, or something like that. Or essentially, we're almost at 2,000 copies moved since February,
Congrats,
right?
man. That's
And thank you,
excellent.
man. I
Congratulations.
appreciate that. And, no, I
Congratulations on
appreciate
that,
that,
Richard.
guys. Seriously, once again, athlete who thought all I would ever be was an athlete. The same kid that while my GPA was pretty high coming out of high school, man, I got a 17, a 16, and a 15 on the ACT in a row. Like 3 times I did the study. So somebody who's attention span, man, I'm not saying I got ADHD. My mom thinks I do. She wrote a psychology paper on me about it before. But needless to say, but just with all of the labels, with all of the titles that have been slapped on me and thrown on me, like, man, I'm like, yo, like, I think for so long we think it takes rocket science to affect people's lives, and all it really boils down to is relational intelligence, vulnerability, and honesty. And so I've really been trying to use the 31 days of power to do that, man. So it's been great. We've literally, I'm going through a 6-week program with the Volunteers of America, Los Angeles' high school summer program right now with the book, having conversations with students. And I'm doing it for a plethora of other college
client who's one of the teachers there. So I'm going to actually see him this week. I'm going to make sure that he's going. Yeah.
I love it. But that's the thing, though. It's just like, you never really understand how a small idea can leave such a huge impact. So that's what the 31 Days of Power is. And I want it to be different with it too. So you could treat it like a book where you read it through, or you can literally treat it like a journal where you go day by day. And at the end of each chapter, I have 3 to 4 simple questions that people can reflect on. I leave you 1 page to write, because obviously as a therapist and a life coach, y'all know this, journaling is so pivotal when it comes to being able to not only identify ourselves, but to learn our habits, to be able to identify traits, to identify maybe some shortcomings, some trauma, some triggers. And I'm like, yo, like, I want to make this so, I felt like I literally took it back to when we was in school, man. Like when we were shorties, like, that's what it is, though.
Man, listen, I was hoping my copy was going to get here today, and because I was going to surprise and hold it up, but my Amazon has not delivered.
You went on Amazon. You did See this? I tell people this. I try not to sell on Amazon. That's why I hike the price up on Amazon, to discourage people from going there, right? And this will be another conversation, Marty, as we help you self-publish.
Okay.
But Amazon takes half of the profit away from their authors. So that's why I encourage people to go to my website. But we're going to make sure we get you right, because we want Marty to get every coin that he deserves. So
most definitely. Listen, a brother needs his coins. A brother needs his coins. Yes, he does. But I'm going to definitely order some on your website as well, because I'm one of those brothers. I don't believe in just talking the talk. I believe in walking it too. And I'm of the habit.
And everything.
Oh, I'm gonna pay you. I'm gonna hit your website today and send my copies. Yes. See, my brother Jerron, he's a great. Can we order directly from you, brother? Yes, that's what he said, Jerron. We definitely can order.
Yep.
Ricky Taylor Jr. RichardTaylorJr.com.
RichardTaylorJr.com.
Yeah,
yes,
Richard.
Sir, that's it.
Yes, that's where we're going, and I believe in promoting it. Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things that you said, man, was about giving grace. And that is so important that we need to do that. Like, we as people, we get in our own way. Give yourself grace, but keep doing the work. But you got to keep doing the work, though. And sometimes we forget that. And so I strongly encourage anybody. I mean, again, this is Transformational Tuesday. So anybody out there that's trying to do the work, learn to rest. Don't quit. Learn to rest.
Yeah. That's right.
You know what I mean? Give yourself that grace that you need. But stay doing your work.
Sharif, I love that you said that, bro. And it's funny, working with the students from the Volunteers of America, last Friday we did a session around imposter syndrome and comparison. And man, one of the things that we talked about, and Marty, I know y'all do this in your therapeutic studies and practices, but we talk about sometimes identifying our inner critic. And one of the things that I found out is that why I struggle to show myself grace is because I criticize myself in every facet of life. All the time, right? And so I love that you said that, Sharif, because it's like you got to start asking the question too of why do I struggle showing myself grace? What is it that is causing me not to, like really just dissecting that? And it's crazy because I see it all the time, right? Like, who is my inner critic? What gave power to this voice to cause me to critique myself? Like, man, so Sharif, I love that you said that, bro, because it's like, we're not gonna have it all together. It's okay not to be perfect. Like,
it's
you're gonna fall, you're gonna stumble. Like,
and
But we
that
got to find out
failing.
where Marty always comes from, that stinking thinking. Where does that stinking thinking come from? Like, we got to
Come
figure that
on.
out. Once we figure out where that stinking thinking comes from, then we're all right. But we got to figure it out first.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
To make me not believe that I'm enough.
Yeah, that
fact. Absolutely.
Well, come on, Sharif, you're already telling my book. You're already telling my book. That's the so my book was came out of very much like yours during the month of April of 2020 when we were now starting to be locked in and all that. I wanted to do something to encourage people. So it was 30 days of empowerment. I came on live every day. So that's what I wrote with that. And day one was
Amazing.
I am enough. And that's what it's talking about, and changing that. So it is, the name of the book is Stop the Stinking Thinking. So changing our mindset and rewriting the narrative of our own lives, taking control, transforming ourselves. Yes, that's the key. That's the key. Man, listen, our time keeps running out too fast. Richard, this is not going to be the last time you're going to be on here, man. Listen, you got two brothers for life, whether you want them or not. So we rolling like that. Yes.
I'm with it, man.
I know that's right. So, man, listen, tell our viewers once again, how can they not only get this latest book of yours, but your other books as well? And how can they follow you on social media?
Oh, absolutely, man. My website, richardtaylorjr.com. So richardtaylorjr.com. And then as far as the social sites, man, I'm pretty much everywhere. Instagram, Richard.Taylor Jr. Facebook and LinkedIn, Richard Taylor Jr. And then Twitter is at Truly Taylor Made, TrulyTaylorMade. And that's kind of, Taylor Made Empowerment is my company's name, the name of the brand.
Okay.
Man, and that's the thing too, trying to encourage people when it comes to the understanding that we all have a tailor-made destiny and tailor-made purpose in this life. And so, yeah, those are all, that's where it is. And then of course, like I said, I run a podcast too. So Between the Dream podcast can be heard everywhere podcasts are available. I'm not cool like Marty and Sharif yet when it comes to actually having the video aspect with it. I'm a simple old audio boy, but one day I'm gonna grow up to be
whatever.
Like
y'all. Sharif, we trying to catch up and get our books out and everything else.
We trying to get books out. Shoot.
Yeah. Can I get a pamphlet out, please?
No, man. I love this platform, though. I love what you all have with this space here, right? Because a few things, right? You can hear joy, but man, it's something different to be able to see brothers in this space laugh, right? Y'all got beautiful smiles, right? Being able to be emotional, to see those tears, to have the raw, all of those things. I think visually, for us to be able to see it, I feel like that dynamic, man, it does something different that I don't think anything else can, and that's why I made that comment. I love the fact that y'all have it like this, man.
Man, we love that you're on here. This felt like we've known each other for years, that we've been hanging out and everything. Now I'm the OG of the crew. Sharif, don't you say anything. Next time I'm going to dye my gray. see.
Oh, man.
That's all. Listen,
sweat coming down.
Listen. Sharif is clowning because last time he was on, he had a hat on. Now, the seller's trait, my grandmother was a mother of the church. Now, she had on her wig, her hat, and everything else. And one day she goes, I got too many hats on. So and she just be sweating, sweat just running down her forehead. And there was me.
That's
I said, hilarious. In the middle of the show, I said, I can't take this anymore. I just took that hat off.
I love it.
So,
hey,
Sharif,
Marty,
my brother.
I'm gonna tell you like this, man. Embrace that salt and pepper. The shade room on Instagram the other day. They posted like 10 slides with like all of these OGs, the uncles, the dads, and the early grandpas. Right. And it was like nothing but beautiful black men. I was like, dang, like, am I gonna look like that when I get older? Because for so long I thought I was gonna be like the granddad with the belly hanging over the waist. But I saw these cats. And look, low-key, you look like you can fit right in with him, man. Look, your bride might get sitting up in the comment sections like, hey, daddy, let's go, bro.
Listen, don't tell nobody they are. I'm like, listen, I say, Girl, I got a daughter your age. You better get up out of here. So, man, listen. It's just good to be alive, man, and laughing with other brothers, man. Richard, I appreciate you. Sharif, talk to us. How do we follow you? Stay in touch, Mr. LifeCoachATL.com.
Hey, Richard, I just want to say to you, man, I appreciate you being so vulnerable, man, and just being so open and honest about everything. And that is going to definitely, your testimony is going to definitely help out somebody else. I will definitely check out your books. They sound like some great resources. I'll definitely like pass them on to my clients as well. So you got a fan in me, man, and I'm going to make sure that I continue to support. You can find me on LifeCoachATL.com is my website. LifeCoachATL on Instagram. LifeCoachATL, your champ is here on Facebook. On YouTube is LifeCoachATL. So everywhere you find me is going to be on LifeCoachATL.com. But book your first free session. I'm here, and I'm going to help you out, baby. Let's go.
I love it. Yes, book your first free session, and I'm right here. Listen, I'm not taking any more free sessions. My charity work is done.
We are not big like you, Marty. We are not big like you. We trying to get there, though.
What can I get for $5? Nothing.
Hold in my hand.
I'm like, listen, no. I'm like, give me your weed money, give me your alcohol money, give me your shake money, because you ain't going down to the strip club just to get them wings. You trying to make it rain. Instead of make it rain, give me your money. I'm going to help you so that you don't have to be drowning in your own rain. But anyway, man.
Hey, I'm not just here in Atlanta either. I'm not just here in Atlanta. I'm helping people all over the country. So it's not just here in Atlanta. We definitely do Zoom. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Don't think because you don't live in Atlanta that I can't help you out.
Right. Listen, we will help anyone that got Zoom. I got some clients up in Canada. I'm like, I am now a life coach, not a therapist, but a life coach. Sign this different paperwork. Man. Listen, the hustle is real. The hustle is real. Man, I can't thank you both enough for coming on and joining us today. Listen, everyone, Transformation Tuesday, now is the time. We want you to realize we've had some amazing people. Again, shout out to Richard Taylor Jr. and Sharif Colbert. You know, he's Creole, you know. But we want you to definitely take what they have told you, what we have shared today. These gentlemen have told you, you don't have to continue to secretly suffer in the shadow of shame. But we have community. We have intentions. We want you to live the best life possible for you. Why? Because you are worth it. Like I say every week, it's time that we speak up, speak out, and live. But more importantly, enjoy your life. We'll see you next week. Take care.